Okay, it's a beautiful Friday evening, and you are welcome to another edition of the Book Review with Caroline Owusu Asamoah. Well, last week we could not bring a live session, thanks to Mr. Internet, but the show still goes on. And today we are going to talk about how to think right, thinking right about investment, thinking right about finances, about money, about job. I mean, about a whole lot of things. How important is thinking right? Well, this program is proudly brought to you by GCOM Multimedia, the editors, GH. Well, so before we go into the book, we have to find out about the author, right? Yeah. So my guest for tonight is Pastor Emmanuel Mensah. Yes, of course, he is a pastor, a lecturer, and a personal finance consultant. Okay, his passion is to uplift the spiritual and financial well-being of humanity, so that each of us can fulfill our God-ordained spiritual and financial destinies. Well, I didn't know there was a financial destiny, but he will tell us about it. Good evening, Pastor Ima, if I can call you that. Hello, Pastor Ima. Good evening.
Good evening. Very good evening to you.
Good to have you this evening.
Thank you so much for having me tonight on your show.
All right. So now, reading about you said you also help people to fulfill or to help them fulfill their financial destiny. Is there any such thing as a financial destiny?
Yes, what I actually mean by our financial destiny, God created all of us to have a relationship with Himself and then also to have a good life on planet Earth. So, what I actually mean by a financial destiny is to be able to live to your fullest potential that God actually planned for you. So it's actually woven or embedded in the destiny of every human being.
Okay. Great, great, great. So now we all know there's something going on in our society, which is the COVID. What have you been up to lately? Are you still able to consult financially? Are you still able to lecture? Are you still able to go about your normal routines?
Well, yes, undoubtedly, the current pandemic has gravely affected everything in the world. But it has also ushered in a new world, a new normal, and opened up several other possibilities for businesses, ministry, and family life as well. Now people can get to spend more time with their families working from home. My current school schedule has all been moved online, as well as church activities. Also, my financial literacy seminars and conferences that I used to organize in-house are all now being organized online. Though there are some challenges we are still experiences with this migration, it has also afforded us the opportunity to reach out to many more people, which hitherto we were unable to reach out to.
Okay, now you
Moreover,
were
yes,
hello.
moreover, my wife is also an architect. So we also run a design and consultancy firm, which we are currently also promoting online. So if anyone is in need of architectural designs, we can guarantee you
Pastor,
world-class tailor-made
you have to
residential
pay for
designs
that
as well.
advert. Pastor, you might have to pay for that advert. It's not free.
Thank you for that opportunity.
Anyway, okay, so now you authored this book, The Forest, if my viewers can see it,
Yeah, the force of
The
thinking
Forest
rightly.
Thinking Rightly. Now, I know this book was authored, was it 2014 or
Yes, it's
2015?
2014. It was actually published in 2014.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. What led to the birth of this book?
Well, primarily, I put together this piece because of my passion to help people with life circumstances and upbringing as the one that I went through myself. I was actually raised and tutored under very sound Christian principles and values. We were taught to uphold high standards of integrity. We were also taught to be content with what we have. We were raised to treasure godliness with contentment and look at money and wealth with some kind of disdain because of how often money was usually used in destructive ways within our communities. So this unfortunately seemed to have programmed us unconsciously to associate money with evil. So many of us grew up not really wanting to have anything to do with money matters. But later on, as a young adult, I learned that money is amoral and one could actually harness it for the greater good of society instead of the evil expressions that many of us have become accustomed with. So this led me to actually seek to understand more in light of the good that money can do for humanity. So this book is actually a product of my findings and experiences with money in this journey.
Okay. Interesting out there. So now, reading the book, I realized that you said you had to read a lot of books, attend a lot of seminars. You had to seek a lot of knowledge. Now, to our viewers out there, what advice do you have to them about reading, especially people who do not want to read, and how can they harness that aspect of themselves? Because I know a lot of reading helped you, and that's what we do on this platform to encourage people to read.
Yes, certainly. I believe that, especially in our part of the world, many people don't find reading that very useful or they don't fancy reading. But I believe that the time has come for all of us to actually invest in gaining knowledge. Anything that you want to do, whatever it is that you are doing, you can only excel in whatever field of your endeavor if you acquire relevant knowledge in that particular field so you can discharge yourself very creditably. So I believe that every one of us, needs to develop a passion for learning, because you can never learn enough in this world.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true. Thank you so much. Now, let me read a bit about the book. It says, the blurb, the force of thinking rightly is a knowledge-based influence that causes anyone who discovers it to think rightly about money, learning, investments, job and work problems and challenges, mistakes and failures, mentors and coaches, and giving to society dreams and visions as well as time, and thereby change and make the right advancements in life. So we are going to delve deeper into the book. Now, this book is divided into two parts. Part one, come let us reason together. Um and then part two, come let us launch out. And I really enjoyed myself reading the book, and I made you aware of it. Let's start with a summary of the book. Chapter one is the intro. Chapter two, thinking rightly about money. Chapter three, learning, pursuing wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. Chapter four, thinking rightly about risks. Thinking rightly about investments. Thinking rightly about your job and your work. That's an interesting chapter. Thinking rightly about problems and challenges. Thinking rightly about mistakes and failure. Thinking rightly about mentors and coaches, and it goes on and on. So, Pastor Emma, could you give us a quick summary about the book?
Okay, rightly as you read from the cover page, actually, the book primarily discusses the essence of realigning our thinking rightly on the subject of money. It also seeks to ignite our appetite, actually, for learning and making continuous progress in our journey of life. So, our general well being. Specifically, it touches on the subject of thinking rightly about money. Each of these are discussed in detail in various chapters within the book, actually. It also talks about thinking rightly about the risks that we face, in our daily lives. Investments, very, very, very key. It also talks about thinking rightly about the problems and challenges that we face in our daily activities. It also talks about thinking rightly about mistakes and failure that often would come our way, which are inevitable. Then it also helps the reader to think rightly about your job and your work. Many people do not actually perceive their job and their work for what it's worth. They only see it as maybe a tool to earn some money, to make some living, and then they go, they come, and that's it. But the book actually shows you what your job and your work is meant to do for you. Then the book also details thinking rightly about mentors and coaches. In our journey of life, you would need people who would hold your hand, who would help you, because whatever it is that you want to do in this world has been done before.
Yeah.
And the people that actually have gone ahead of you can guide you through all the bumps and the curves to negotiate all the various bends in life so you can actually, be successful. So it also touches on mentors and coaches. Then it talks about dreams and visions, how we can actually dream and envision where you would want to be in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. The book actually shows you the essence of actually having a dream. There are some people who walk this world without having any dream. They don't have any vision of what they would want to do to impact the lives of others. But the book actually shows you practically how you can dream. Then finally, it also talks about giving to society. Giving to society. Giving is actually the highest form of living. So the book is actually my little gifts that I'm also giving actually to society, so that we can realign our thinking rightly about some of these things that it shares for the betterment of all. And then finally, it also talks about how we can manage our time in a more profitable and productive way so that we can redeem the times, for the days are evil.
Wow. Thank you so much for that summary. Well, in case you just dropped by or you just tuned in, it's a book review show with me, Caroline Owusu Asamoah, and I have Pastor Emmanuel Mensah with me as my guest. We are looking into his book, The Forest of Thinking Rightly, proudly brought to you by GCOM Multimedia and the Editors GH. If you are looking for top-notch editing services, you can contact the Editors GH at Editors GH on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And if you are an author out there, you want to also have your book reviewed on this platform, you can contact the Book Review Show GH on all our social media platforms, or you can call 0231 151615. We are thinking rightly tonight with Pastor Emmanuel Mensah. Now, let's. You mentioned something earlier, okay?
Okay.
Your search for knowledge about money and how you were growing up and how money seems to be so much of an evil thing. Now let's look at money. Money. Some people money. When money is mentioned, some people scratch their heads, some, get up, some, change their gestures. What is it about money that, it's associated with wrong or greed, or as you said earlier? What is it about money?
As you rightly said, the subject of money elicits severe emotions from many different people. Historically, people who have often controlled money have tended to use it against people. Some often lorded it over others. And the scriptures explain that money answers
all things. Yeah.
all things. Money usually accompanies often than not the human desire to money so they can. The more one craves for money and more money, the more it captivates the soul and ensnares them. So the scripture was quick to admonish that the love of money is the root of all evil. Money of itself, as I noted earlier on, is not evil, but the love of it, the craze to amass more of it for oneself, as a trap for that particular person. It often leads to greed with all its attendant evils in society. So money of itself is not evil per se, but what power it comes with, or the power that it allows the one who wears it to actually demonstrate, is what normally leads or ensnares people who control money.
So, I mean, let's stay on this topic a bit, a
Okay.
while longer. Uh, you mentioned that your upbringing, you were raised in a Christian background and with sound doctrine and all that. And I read in the book, you gave an example of a man who wanted to, help to build a particular chapel, and the pastor said, no, you don't have to. It's too lavish, let's do something else. Now, this
Yeah.
mindset, I mean, how do we shift it, and how good is money for us to realize that there's a good side to it and not a bad side to it? And you often hear people say, "Okay, the love of money is the root of all evil," even though we know that money is not the root of all evil, but the love of it. How can we unlearn this thing, and how can we bring it in the right perspective for people to know? Because oftentimes,
Yes, I give all those illustrations. Hello, can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yes. I was saying that I was brought up actually in a very sound Christian environment. We were taught, to be very modest in our way of life. In everything that we did, we were taught actually to be very modest. And the way our socialization agents continue to drum this thing in us, unconsciously programmed us to have some kind of, disdain for money. We didn't really want to have so much to do with money because we felt like the more one craved for money, or the more one tried to earn more money, it puts you in a place where you might, get in trouble with God. So we tried as best as we could not to really allow ourselves to learn what money actually was, to know the good that money can also do for society. But everything that we see around us, all the good things that we see around us, we do with money. In church, all the nice buildings that you see around in church that we decorate for the glory of God, we do all those things with money. But if you don't know actually how to harness that power of money, you will not be able to actually utilize it for this good, for the church, the society, and everyone. So that is what actually led me to begin to probe a little bit further. I believe that the best way to, unlearn something is to open up to a new knowledge. If you are not opening up to any new knowledge, it will be very, very difficult to unlearn all those ideas that you have amassed and accumulated through the years. So I actually opened up to this kind of new knowledge. It actually began when I was in the senior high school. There was actually a preacher who came there. I think I shared it in the book somewhere. There was a preacher who actually came to minister in one of our regular Sunday services. And he relayed a very disturbing statistic to me that actually ignited my passion to know more about that. He actually said that in the whole of the world, only 5% of the population of the world think. And 15% think they are thinking. And the rest of the 80% don't think at all. So I actually, in fact, it got me thinking, how come all of us, all this while I knew that, I am a thinking human being. Whatever it is that I do, I felt like I was thinking. But when he started expounding on what he meant by all these things, that I realized that most of us would fall short of that level of thinking that he was actually referring to. So it actually ignited my interest to find out more. And that is how I got to actually start the search on all this.
Okay. Now your book addresses a lot. As let me try and get the viewers to see
Okay.
how it is. Yeah, you can get a lot from it. I learned a lot about stocks, investments, and all that. But one of the things you mentioned in the book that I kept thinking about, maybe I thought rightly, yes, I thought rightly about was with regard you know, having an investment. Oftentimes people have finished school or they are not yet done with school, and the job market out there isn't that favorable for them. So you talk about investment, the person reads your book, like investment. How do I invest? I don't understand stock exchange. As you said, when we get to the business news column, we look at the stock, 33% gold is this, that. We don't even understand it. So how do you become wise enough to even invest? And if you are with a salary of maybe 100, 500, how can you
Great. Actually, the fact that you barely have enough is the more reason why you must consider investing. As long as you have the capacity to earn, I believe you should consider investing. You don't need to have more money or abundance before you ever consider investing. You can start with as little that you have. There are some that don't even earn anything, but they receive certain funds, like those who are going to school. They receive some, pocket money from their parents. You can start with that. Whatever money that comes into your hand, whatever money that you receive, you can start your investment journey by learning savings habit. So as little as you have, if you are earning, say, 100 Ghana cedi, you can decide to keep a portion of that 100 Ghana cedi into a savings account. Now, the more regularly you do that, or you embark on savings habit, you realize that it becomes a part of you, and that actually serves as your springboard to investment in the future. So all that I mean by investing, you first and foremost have to develop that habit of saving a part of whatever comes into your hands.
I'm a freeholder. I want to ask a follow-up question to that.
Okay.
Now let's
okay.
you are okay, you are earning, fine, but you are the breadwinner of your family. You are also taking care of your parents, okay? And
yeah,
maybe your parents, something is wrong, your brother, you have to support your sister in this way or the other way. Now, if you something somewhere and you hide it, and your father or your sister or your brother or relative is in need, are you being selfish when you are saving that chunk over there, for an investment? Or what is it? Because people often have a lot of questions that like, am I being selfish? Am I being greedy? While this person maybe is not having, and then I have, and I say I'm putting it in savings.
Okay, that's a very good question. But consider this scenario.
Okay.
If you have 100 cedis, and then you decide that you're going to just put away 10 cedi out of the 100 cedi into a savings fund, you still have 90 cedis available to do whatever it is that you want to do with it, to help whoever you want to help with. Now, if you decide that you're not going to save the 10 cedi off of the 100 cedis, and you spend all that 100 cedi, notice that whatever challenges, whatever troubles, whatever problems that your other relatives and all those people you are referring to would have are not going to go away because you spend the 10 Ghana cedi extra on them. Those problems are definitely going to still be there. But your decision to put out that portion would create actually a springboard for you to be able to help them in a bigger way in the future when bigger problems emerge. But if you decide that you're going to spend all the 100 cedis now because that is not even enough to cater for all your needs, the problems that you encounter in your life are not going to go away. They're going to be there. So as long as they're going to be there, in future, you will still need money to settle or to sort out some of these problems, but there will be none. But if you discipline yourself to use the 90 to manage whatever problems you are confronted or faced with, the 10 would be there, grown, invested and grown, and then it would, yield more returns for you to solve other bigger problems in the future. So I believe that everyone can, you can, if 100 or if 90 is not sufficient enough to solve all your problems, I don't think 100 cities will do anything better than the 90.
Or even if you even start earning 1 billion, still, if you are not able to save out of that 100 that you get, then indeed, even if you get the 1 billion, it will never be enough, right?
It will never be enough, actually, to settle all your problems. The problems of human beings do not go away. They are always with us. They are God's way of actually training us for eternity. So they will continue to be there. But you are the one that have to actually develop, your capacity to accommodate and handle all of them. And God gives us wisdom all the time to, sort of handle all these problems as and when they come our way.
Okay. Thank you so much. I hope the person who privately messaged me that question has gotten satisfaction from that answer. Well, let me read some comments. Parkwesi, I see you. Frederick Yamo, I see you. Brown says awesome. Nicholas Tanya says nice. Frederick Yamo comes again. He says great show. Indeed, we are learning a lot. So please make sure you say this program is probably brought to you by GCOM Multimedia and the editors GH. We are looking at the force of thinking rightly. Okay, you have to think right about so many things in your life, and this is the book you have to get now, written by Pastor Emmanuel Mensah. Now, Pastor Emma, let's look at job. Let's look at thinking rightly about your job. We look at the Jacob and Esau bit. But I was reading and you were talking about how we have to be wealthy so that we'll be able to help others in need and all that. But sometimes, I've heard a lot of motivational speakers, and we've heard some in Ghana. A lot of people in Ghana talk about money, motivation, and you have to quit your job, be an entrepreneur. Now, how do we job? You're employed by somebody, okay, and the person says how to work for me, but the person sacrifices the working time and then focuses on his own personal business or something that he has started. So I think we are not really getting the right thinking. How do you think about your job?
Honestly, I do not think that everyone is cut out for entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Similar to our several temperaments, not everyone can become an entrepreneur. So whatever you find yourself inclined to do, give yourself wholly to it, and you will be fine. I believe that if you have a job and is delivering you some income, give yourself wholly to it. Everybody that we call a genius in this world give themselves to the work that they actually do. It's not everybody that can start something on their own and run it and grow it and make it as big as some of these motivational speakers often inspire us to aspire to. But if you feel or if you know within yourself that you are cut out for that, that is also okay. You can actually take advantage of the opportunities that are available or that are around you and help many more people. But I don't believe that everybody needs to be an entrepreneur. But the good news here is that although not everybody can become an entrepreneur, everybody can invest. That is the good news. As long as you can earn some money, you can invest. And the book actually helps you a great deal to appreciate this reality as well as guide you on how you can actually do this.
Wow. And I mean, one of the things I like about the book is the fact that, after every chapter, you create a space for the summary and then the lesson notes that the person can get. And you even have at the last bit of the appendix how people can, invest and, do their calculations. And if you are watching, please grab a copy now. Grab the copy from me. I'm trusting it. Even though it was forwarded by Kevin. How did you get that? Because that man is very easy.
Yes, I got an opportunity actually to work in one of his companies some time ago, and I understudied all that he did. He took me as a child, as a son. So that's how I got him to actually forward this book.
Wow, interesting one out there. Okay, now let's look at the Jacob and Esau allusion. I really love that how you brought to light the behavior of Jacob and negotiation and all that. Tell us a bit about it before we continue.
Okay, I think I've earlier on indicated that I began learning about biblical characters that demonstrated wealth and abundance in my search. And I happened to actually chance on a teaching by one Pastor Mensah that actually illuminated my mind on the character of Jacob and Esau. That led me to probe further on the lives of these two biblical characters, which later led me to share the insights I share about them in the book. I discovered, in my search that Jacob and Esau are just representations of, or they are symbolic of systems that are run by individuals and also by nations. So I studied their life patterns, their productive systems, and I came to the conclusion that all individuals and nations pattern their lives either after that of Esau or after Jacob. And then I noticed that if you happen to pattern your life after that of Esau, usually life is going to be very hard. They are the people who often say that I don't have enough to invest. Why should I invest? The little that I have, I cannot even take care of myself with it. So why should I still put aside something to invest? But Jacob doesn't think that way. Jacob is very, very patient actually with the little that he has. He will tell you, you just give me, a seed and leave me alone. And then I'll give you a forest on this planet. But Esau is only interested in give me everything, give me the abundance, give me all that I need, and he squanders it. So it's actually a mindset, it's a perspective that each one of us need to cultivate. If you pattern your life after Jacob, sooner than later, you will see that you have enough to take care of yourself, your family, and all other people around you. But if you pattern your life after that of Esau, sooner than later, you're going to realize that life is going to be very hard because all your problems, all your challenges, all your needs are still going to be with you, and you will not have enough to cater for all these things.
Now, let's look at some of the lessons before we go to my next question. You were talking about if you are hungry, you should not negotiate, you should be patient. I mean, the negotiation, so give us maybe two.
Okay, yes, I gave those tips, for negotiation. If you study carefully the productive system of Esau and how it ended him, you realize that Esau did not really end up very well. Esau went to the forest. The Bible account of Esau and Jacob actually lets us know that Esau was a skillful hunter, whereas Jacob was a farmer or a cultivator. So Esau usually goes to the wild to hunt for game. So one time Esau went actually to the forest to hunt for animals, but found none. Because if you keep killing animals in the forest and you don't breed them, sooner than later you go to the forest and all the animals will be extinct. There will be none there to kill again. And that is the pattern that Esau actually was charting. So he went to the forest, he didn't find any animal. And then he came home, met his younger brother Jacob. Jacob had a backyard of farm animals right with him. I believe that the animals that Jacob was rearing probably might have been one of the things that Esau actually caught in one of his hunting expedition and brought it to him, and he took it from him. But he was patient on that animal, breeded that animal, and allowed that animal to actually grow and then produce more animals. So later he didn't need to actually go to the forest to hunt for anything. He had enough. So in negotiation, anytime you are hungry, your brains actually shut down. So when Esau came to the negotiating table, he unfortunately sold his birthright just for common food because he was hungry. Anytime you are hungry, you would bear witness with me that your brain shut down. You're not able to think very well. So anytime you're hungry, do not actually negotiate. It's best to call time off, find something to eat, make yourself comfortable and good, then you can come back and think rightly and negotiate appropriately. Likewise, whenever you are pushed to the wall, like for example, as a lady yourself, if you wear a shoe that actually pinches your feet, and then maybe you walk all day in that particular shoe, the only thing you think of is relief. You want to get rid of that shoe and be okay. So if someone engages you on any proper negotiation, I bet you're not going to think right.
Yeah.
You make a lot of decisions in haste. So anytime you're pushed to the wall, you need to actually call for time off. You need to rewind before you come on the negotiation table. So those are some of the tips that I gave actually in the book as regarding negotiation.
And there are more tips, so you have to get the book and then complete everything. We are not giving it all here. We are just whetting your appetite, putting your worm on the hook so that the fish grabs it. Well, let's continue. Now, let's look at our final. Well, amazing how time flies, but let's look into the kind of investment, okay, that you can leave for your kids. What's the best investment that you can leave for your children? Because we've read that you should invest, you should do this, you should do that, you should do this, you should do that. But how can you, as an individual, leave a legacy for your children? And what kind of investment, what's the best to leave for your children?
Okay, thank you very much. I believe that one of the best investments that you can give to your children is to educate them about money. And you will not be positioned rightly to do that if you yourself do not understand money and have not demonstrated yourself or exercised yourself in some of these things. Okay. So the book gives you actually an opportunity to learn about money and start practicing some of the tips that it gives therein so that you can share some with your children. When it comes to our children, I recommend that if you're a parent, the first steps in teaching your child about money is actually to give them some pocket money. Research has shown that when children turn the age of 9 years, they are actually ready to be able to learn certain basic money management skills. 9 years, at the age of 9 years. Nine. Yeah. So maybe if you are too, I am so grateful to my parents. My father actually trained us with that. So anytime we went to school, right from I think when we were in class 3 or class 4, so my father began to give us money. He made us actually earn our money. So if you do something that pleases daddy and mommy gives you something little, and then you can buy that nice toffee, toy, or whatever that you need. So that instilled in me a sort of discipline, and I began learning little money management skills from what my father introduced us to. There are some parents who say that it's not advisable you give your children money because they're going to waste it. But that is why parental responsibility is key. So you give it to them and you guide them along the way to make the right choices as to what to do with the money.
Wow. This is interesting. This is all coming from the author of The Force of Thinking Rightly, Pastor Emmanuel Mensah. And we've looked at a whole lot, but you have to get the book. Pastor Emmanuel, please, how much does the book go for?
It's 40 cedis on the market. You can get, I think, copies in Challenge Bookshop, PPP, and some other outlets. It's also online, actually, on many online retail outlets. Like it's on Amazon, it's on Barnes and Nobles, and all many renowned retail outlets worldwide.
Okay. Thank you so much. So let me read a comment before we go. Bernard Kofi says, you are looking and doing great. Can't wait to be on watching live. Okay, Bernard, Kofi, we are waiting for you. Okay, Pastor Emma, what's your contact before you go? Who give your contact so that when if one wants to reach you?
Okay, yes. If anyone wants to reach me, you can reach me on 0244 880 316. I take that again, 0244 880 316.
Okay.
If you contact me too, I can actually ensure that you get one.
All right, all right, all right. Thank you so much, Pastor Emma, for coming on board. Your final words before you leave us. Your final words to the viewers watching us tonight.
Okay, it's actually been a wonderful time today with you, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share some of these thoughts with your viewers. I want to encourage everyone, listening to us this evening, that work hard at whatever you are doing and be diligent at your work. I believe that anything that your hand finds to do, the good book admonishes us that whatever your hand finds to do it with all your heart, with all your mind, as you are doing it unto the Lord. So whatever it is that you are doing, work hard at whatever you are doing. And I'm sure that God would also bless the work of your hand with returns. I also want to say that every one of us should practice or learn to save of everything that gets into our hand. Because whatever gets into our hand, there is always a seed part and a fruit part. The seed part is what you actually invest to create more abundance for yourself, for your family, and for people around you. But if you don't decipher that whatever gets into your hand, whether it's your income, whether it's a gift someone has given you, if you don't actually separate the seed part from the fruit part and you consume everything, in future, there's going to be nothing for you to fall back on when actually the D-Day arises. And finally, I also want to say that let's all try to serve God with pureness and sincerity of heart, and He will perfect that which concerns us.
Amen. Thank you so much for coming on, Pastor Emma. God richly bless you. God richly bless you. God richly bless you. So this is the book, The Force of Thinking
Thank you so
Rightly.
much also for having me.
You are welcome. You are welcome. Have a wonderful evening, viewers. So that's the book, The Force of Thinking Rightly. 0231 is the number you can call for more details. Tune in same time next week. It's bye from me, Caroline Owusu Asamoah. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.